Welcome to Queen City Cyber Consulting's channel.
Welcome back, everyone, to Queen City Cyber Consulting. Today, we're going to change tactics a little bit, and we're going to look at something a tad bit more theoretical. Now, don't get me wrong here. This topic has very, very many practical applications, but it is also highly theoretical. It does play across multiple things that we have already talked about. For example, the MITRE ATT&CK framework. It does interact with it, and you can use it in your day-to-day work as well. And I also will tell you, you will see this on multiple tests. Multiple different certifications talk about the diamond model of intrusion analysis, what it is, how you use it, what you can do with it. So certifications love it. You'll also see it talked about in job postings. They will post something along the lines of must be familiar with the diamond model of intrusion analysis or something similar to that, usually in conjunction with MITRE ATT&CK and a couple of others that we'll look at as we go down this little road here. But this is really foundational. It is a cyber threat intelligence model that helps you to track, to analyze, and correlate adversary activity across intrusion events. Now, I will say this, in my time in cybersecurity, whereas I've come across it in training modules continually, everything from SANS to EC Council to Sec Plus and others, in the real world, I've rarely actually seen it ever implemented or used, which is kind of astounding given that it's always talked about and taught in classes, but yet when it comes to doing it, um, sometimes I guess there's a gap there somewhere. Now, I do want to show you the actual, this is where it comes from right here. And I will include a link to this document so you can download it for yourself and read it. This is the entire document that is put up by activeresponse.org. And it goes through describing the process, the various works that's related to it, the overview of the model, the event. You'll see them use a whole bunch of different terms. Here's an event. There's core features, there's meta features, there's confidence value. This is basically that diamond model in its plainest form. You'll see it in a variety of forms, and even I created my own graphic for it for this presentation. But this is a really good document to be able to read, to study, and to refer to when you're actually working with this framework. It was developed by Sergio Cataguirone, Andrew Pendergast, and Christopher Betts to help provide a formal mathematical and analytical rigor to intrusion analysis. And you'll see that in that paper. Now, going through this, we won't be dealing very much with the mathematical side of the house. This video is to introduce you to the topic. There you go. It's not to do an in-depth dive into using the diamond model. I am putting together an exercise for this topic, however, which will be posted in the future to give you some practical hands-on with it, especially since it does show up on job interviews and certification tests. So looking at the model and to get you a little understanding of it, it basically evaluates cyber intrusion events by looking at 4 different but connected core components, and those form the outline of the diamond. And you'll see that here in a minute if you didn't catch it when I briefly looked at the original document itself. It shifts the threat analysis from static indicators, which we talked about in some previous videos, more to the dynamic relationships between the adversaries that are doing the attack and their targets. In other words, the infrastructure that's under attack. They use event correlation, and you'll remember when we talked before the difference between an incident and an event. Here they talk about events, and this malicious activity they call an event, not an incident. So you have to kind of switch your mindset there. On tests, the definition of an incident and an event remain what I told you before. An incident is an actual attack, an event is an everyday occurrence. Remember that. But for looking at the diamond model, they do call it an event, which we did see in that document back here. So here's the event, E, formally defined as a labeled in tuple, where each element of the tuple is knowledge of a feature combined with an independent confidence value. Don't let that destroy your confidence in learning this, but here is their actual definition for an event right here. They define it as a discrete time-bound activity restricted to a specific phase where an adversary requiring external resources uses a capability and methodology over some infrastructure against a victim with a given result. That is their definition of an event, and it does vary from what SANS would define or NIST would define the difference between an event and an incident. I want to stress that though for you when you're working with the diamond model, an event is an incident. It's not an event like NIST or SANS would define it. So keep that in mind. Here is the diamond model laid out for you here on the right side of the screen. You've got the adversary category, you've got capability, you've got the infrastructure that's being used by the attacker, and then you've got your victim down here. And there are a lot of meta features involved here. You've got timestamps, you've got the phase of the attack, the result of the attack, the direction, and the confidence level. But at the very center are these four essential vertices. And those are the ones that you need to remember: adversary, capability, victim, and infrastructure. Those form the diamond. And that's why it's important to remember them. Now, in the midst of the diamond, you've got two other categories there: the social political axis and technology axis. But those interact with these four major fundamental nodes. They are subnodes to these four. So if you're looking to get to know the diamond model, then these are the four you begin with. And you've got to be able to understand what these four are in order to move on to the other features that are included in the diamond model. So adversary, remember, it's who is behind the attack. That's what you need to focus on for the adversary, because that is what you're basically trying to identify who the threat actor or organization is. And it can be everything from, say, APT 29 or FIN 7. And that's going to help give you some insight into the attacker's intent and to their motivations. Are they performing corporate espionage, stealing corporate secrets? Is it financial? Is it just pure disruption? Is it ransomware? All that falls under adversary to give you an insight into what that target or what that threat actor is trying to do. And it does play into the MITRE attack framework as well. And when you come over to MITRE to take a peek here, you can see, need to zoom this in a little bit so we can see it a little clearer. You can see the different threat groups over here. You can click right on Akira and go directly into it. It's a ransomware variant, or we just saw FIN 7. So let's go to FIN 7. Well, what is FIN 7? It's a financially motivated threat group. It's been around since 2013. Very active still. They've not gone away, even though they have linked with other groups like Carbonic and some others. If you're looking at the threat intelligence field, you're going to get to know some of these names very well. You may even dream about them from time to time, but it does fit into the MITRE attack matrix there. The victim, who or what was targeted. And that could be from organization, it could be specific IP addresses that the attacker or the adversary went after, could be individual user accounts, could be email, it could be a broader sector. Take, for example, what's been happening here recently with the water supply attacks. Well, that's a whole industry sector. And so, if you're going to do threat modeling and use the diamond model of intrusion analysis, you can start plugging some of this information in to gain a little bit of insight and help map out what is actually happening. Capability, what tools are being used? Each group kind of has their own tool set that they like to use. Now, it does cross groups. Some of them prefer living off the land, which we talked about in another video, but it also helps develop your adversary's TTPs. Do you remember what TTP stands for? Tactics, techniques, and procedures of the enemy. And finally, infrastructure. What infrastructure, physical or logical, is being used to conduct the attack? What's command and control, or C2, is being used for this? Is there any other threat information regarding the C2, the malicious domains, proxy network? Is it compromised servers? All that falls under infrastructure. And it's important to remember that that does come into play here. So you have different axes here. You've got your social political axis, and this basically is identifying it as the adversary, victim. They have the intent, the relationship, and a motive connecting the threat actor to their target. For example, FEN 7, which we just looked at over here. Again, what are we looking at? Financially motivated threat group. So that, excuse me, plays in here. Um, Possibly, and I say that with like all capital letters, possibly Iran against the recent water supply attacks. Possibly that would be geopolitical tensions, hacktivism. There's a whole range of these, and these are all different categories of threat actors. And then you have the technology axis, and that's the technical mechanism of the attack. How did the adversary use their exploit toolkit? Did they use a specific command and control structure? What communication protocols did they use in order to be able to talk to their command and control, or to exfil data, or to create persistence on the network? All those things come into play. Now, there are a lot of meta features that come into play with the diamond model as well. You've got timestamps. Again, looking for that precise start and end dates and times during when the event occurred. You've got phases. Again, the cyber kill chain, which is the topic of another video. We've already talked about MITRE ATT&CK. Probably will link that video to this video, just so if you need to go back and review it, you can do that. Then you have the result. What is the overall outcome? Was it successful? Was it detected by your EDR or your SIM or whatever tool you're using? Did it get blocked? Was it allowed? And if so, why? Well, which direction? Did it go adversary to victim and then victim to C2? Did it do data exfil out to, say, a share file site? Those kinds of things. And your confidence level. What's your confidence score regarding the evidence accuracy and source reliability? All of those are like meta features and context that the diamond model can help you develop and build out if you utilize it. It provides some threat correlation, which is extremely difficult to do. I did a video on that water attack in Minnesota, and it's now spread out to at least 7 other states. Of course, instantly people were saying it was Iranian-based threat actors. President Trump came out and said not so. It is merely malfeasance on the part of Minnesota and the other states. There could be an element of truth in both of those statements. So your threat correlation gets difficult when you're actually investigating these events or incidents. But it can help you with pattern matching. It can help you identify different groups and can also provide some pivot analysis across complex intrusions. And the more you work in this field, you'll see more and more complex intrusions. And now with AI entering the picture, probably it's going to get a lot more complex, especially if it's AI actually doing the attacking and crafting the exploits and all that. So you're going to have to use the diamond model in order to identify the AI indicators of the event. It does give you really good coverage. Now, nothing's 100%. I'm going to caveat this slide. A lot of the things that I read said it was 100%, but I do want to caveat that. Be careful saying 100%. Not really 100% in the real world. There is human error involved here, but it does definitely highlight gaps during an investigation. If you go through and use the diamond model during an investigation, it can highlight some gaps in your security tools and your analysis and your threat intelligence program. And the example given here is if an analyst discovers a capability and a compromised victim, then the model can direct the threat hunters to trace back the missing infrastructure and hopefully uncover the adversary. And that's where it can get tricky. I'm just being honest with you. It's not 100%. Identifying the adversary is very difficult in many cases. It's not like they hang signs around their tools and say, hey, it's Fin 7. We're here again, knocking on your door. They don't do that. They try to hide who they are. And what you're making here is basically an educated guess using a tool like the diamond model of intrusion analysis. So we haven't gone over cyber kill chain, which will be another video forthcoming. The diamond model stresses relationships and core vertices. And if you remember back to that diagram that I showed you, that graphic, you can see that there. The cyber kill chain is more linear and follows more of a sequence phase. Its core viewpoint for diamond model is nonlinear. Really makes sense. But the cyber kill chain is a step-by-step progress. And I've seen these used multiple different ways. They're tools that can be used for a multitude of different things if they're used correctly. Again, you've got contextual metadata, which the diamond model does integrate into its features, whereas the cyber kill chain uses phase descriptions. And they do have different applications, of course. So your diamond model would be for campaign correlation and attribution. Again, think Fin 7. It's a financial threat actor or adversary, depending on what term you want to use there, and allows for some attribution. And the cyber kill chain, though, focuses more on defensive kill switches and mitigation a little bit later on in that incident response scenario. So keep that in mind. There are some differences between the diamond model and the cyber kill chain. And maybe I'll take some time and do a video that does the diamond versus the cyber kill chain at the end. Thank you for watching. If you have questions or want to talk about it, please do. Feel free to leave a comment on the video. I haven't gotten many comments. That's, again, how we network, how we interact, how we learn. All of us can stand to learn more. Definitely don't feel like you shouldn't ask a question. If you watch the video, ask the question. Let's get a discussion going. It's going to be good for the field, it's going to be good for the industry, and it's going to be good for us as individual analysts because we can always use another viewpoint. This is Queen City Cyber Consulting signing off. Go forth and conquer.
Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe.